have happened than a resurrection of that sort? And
13 months ago, their owner, John Mara, said, we've done everything we could. We've done everything in the world, everything possible to screw this kid up in terms of the structure that they put around him with the coaching staff, the support he had on the offensive line, the support he had at the skill positions, all of it. And then just, in March of last year, almost to the day, they gave him a contract, $36 million signing bonus, $92 million guaranteed. $36 million to sign. That's his money. $92 million virtually guaranteed. He played 6 games this year. He was sacked 30 times in 6 games. Their pass block win rate's in the bottom quarter of the NFL. Andrew Thomas missed time this year. John Michael Schmitz, their center that they drafted out of Minnesota, missed time. Evan Neal is still a work in progress at right tackle, the draft pick out of Alabama. Darren Waller, who they signed from the Raiders, who they got from the Raiders, is a guy who didn't pan out for them in the way that they hoped. They have no weapons on the perimeter, and now all of a sudden, now they're done. Now we're done after 6 games of playing last year. He has a neck injury. After 6 games, and the owner making the comments less than a year ago, or just over a year ago, that they have done everything they could to screw this kid up. Now they're done with him, and now they have buyer's remorse, and now they may be in the market for another quarterback. On top of the fact that now Brian Daboll has gone from being a coach of the year to having turmoil throughout his staff, people leaving, people wanting to leave, and now maybe, the speculation now is about whether or not he's coaching for his job. Isn't that amazing? How stuff can turn on its head. And you wonder why the Giants have not been able to make some headway right now in the East and be true contenders. Because when you have this kind of thing that is happening within 1 calendar year, there's no way you can make headway. There's just no way. And I just think it's unfortunate. Look, I've never been a big supporter of Daniel Jones. I've always had my issues. But when you have this kind of flip-flopping and this kind of 180 turns away from people and these kind of structural deficiencies, no wonder you can't make up any ground. No wonder.
I mean, let's be honest, though. It wasn't a consensus that giving Daniel Jones that contract was the right thing to do, right?
But they did it willingly, right?
And what Mr. Mara was trying to do was convince himself of something that he wasn't convinced of, that people were asking him questions about. He had to sit there and defend giving Daniel Jones $40 million and saying, yes, the consistency or the play we've wanted to see from him hasn't been there, but a lot of that is our fault. And if we could fix that, that's why we gave him this money. Remember, last year went well for the Giants because of the way they started. And then we watched them teeter towards the end and get blown out late in the playoffs against the Philadelphia Eagles. And so when you look at this team, this is more of what this team was supposed to look like. This is more of who we thought Daniel Jones can be. And I have never made a purchase, right? I've never made a purchase and ended up having buyer's remorse when I made that purchase 100% knowing at that time it was the right thing to do. Now, if you're hearing buyer's remorse, it's because when you gave him the money, you were thinking, we got to give him this money because he's the quarterback, but I don't know.
No, at the time, because the whole question of do they pay Saquon? Do they pay Daniel? Do they tag Saquon? What are they going to do? No one felt like that decision was you know what? I see what the Giants are doing. Everyone was like, they're kind of stuck. So, okay. And that's not how you want to operate whenever you have a quarterback situation. Look at the Giants. What if you're a Giants fan, what can they sell you on that gives you excitement about this season? Is it the quarterback? They're about to lose Saquon. What is it? Offensive line, year after year, they can't seem to get that right. The coaching staff, the GM, what about this team excites you?
Louis, finish it up.
Here's the thing. This is not just a Daniel Jones issue, is my point. And see, that's what John was saying. And I don't think he's trying to convince himself of anything. The facts are what they are. They have not been able to solidify this offensive line. They do not have anybody at wide receiver since going back to the Odell Beckham when he made the catch on Monday Night Football against Dallas. They don't have anybody like that. And the kid got hurt his neck, played 6 games, was getting the crap beat out of him. And now people just want to boil it down to one decision, which is, you know what? Daniel Jones stinks. Let's just reset. That really popular phrase that everyone uses. They just need a reset at the quarterback position. Just go, hey, you know what? I just want to kind of look at the light and forget everything that happened in the past. Boop, and let's just restart. No, they caused this situation. They caused it. He's part of the problem, but they caused the situation.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone is arguing that.
Yeah.
That's obvious. Look, if you're going to make a decision of that magnitude without certainty of it, and the proof of the fact that they weren't certain is that they're willing to change their mind this
So soon,
quickly.
yeah.
The other thing that struck me, though, Rich Eisen said they're absolutely done with him, but they may be stuck playing him this year.
They are.
That's
Why
the
are
worst
they stuck?
case
Why are
scenario.
they stuck?
Yeah.
Because they
That's
stuck
the point.
to
It's all these general managers and personnel people as we are 5 days to the official start of NFL free agency. Let's go through some fits. RC, talk to me about Saquon Barkley. He's now a free agent. What's the best place for him?
Saquon Barkley has already linked up with C.J. Stroud. They've had some good conversations, and that's the exact place that he should want to go. This is the team that was a playoff team last year. They met a buzzsaw in the Baltimore Ravens in that defense because they couldn't create a run game. What Saquon Barkley can do in the run game and also being explosive, utilized in the pass as well, I think that would be a match made in heaven for the running back and also the team.
Kmart, Kirk Cousins may become a free agent.
Yeah.
What's the best spot for him?
Greeny, if he leaves Minnesota, it's clear. The Atlanta Falcons. Number one, happy wife, happy life. His wife, Julie, grew up in Alpharetta, Georgia, so that's number one. Also, Zach Robinson, a Sean McVay disciple. And then number three, the biggest issue, the fact that they have all those weapons that we never got to see them use. So Raheem Morris, Kirk Cousins, I think that'll be
Yeah, you're too good a journalist to bury that lead.
I want to start with his wife.
Also, you have to remember Raheem Morris was on the staff in Washington when Kirk Cousins took over for RG.
They've got all the weapons in the world. Meanwhile, Lewis, how about Russell Wilson? What's the best fit for him?
Well, considering that I think Russ at this point is a temporary option, just a filler, a bridge quarterback, I think there's two. I think the Steelers, he's someone that they should consider to bring in and provide competition for Kenny Pickett, and then he could be a high-level backup. Or the Giants now obviously have entered the mix, because if it's true that they have now really wanted to or wanting to turn the page on Daniel Jones, and they're going to draft a young quarterback, Russ needs to be that guy who's also a bridge quarterback until the time that a young quarterback is ready to take over there. So I think those are the two best ones for him going forward.
Okay, that's an interesting one. So let's stop down there for a moment. For the folks who weren't with us yesterday, RG3, look, there's been a lot. It's become very fashionable to bash Russell Wilson. Say about that what you will. RG3 came on yesterday with the exact opposite intention. He wanted to defend the honor, if you will, of Russell Wilson, both literally and figuratively, and this is what he said.
They brought Russell Wilson in to win Super Bowls in Denver. He didn't accomplish that. That was an utter failure. But to say that he is not a starting quarterback in the NFL, I feel like I'm losing my mind, like I'm losing my senses. Russell Wilson is a bona fide starter in the NFL, and we got to stop talking about him in the sense of, oh, he's just washed and he shouldn't be playing anymore.
So then that was the most important piece of what was a bigger and I think more nuanced conversation about what Russell Wilson is, what he's brought on himself, what he isn't, perhaps most importantly, anymore. The one thing we know he is available to anyone who wants him at a ridiculously reasonable price, right? For the folks who are not following this, Kmart, give me the talk at the combine. You were there, where I know you didn't sleep at all, so I know you got a lot of conversation time.
Yeah, no.
Talk to me about what you're hearing about Russell.
The most attractive thing about Russell right now is the price tag. The fact that we know that the Denver Broncos are on the hook for $39 million. So whatever team that signs him, if they pay him that minimum, the Broncos would eat the rest of that. They would have to pay the 39 minus whatever he's getting, which makes him super attractive because he's not asking for Kirk Cousins money. You know that you could get a potential starter at a discount price, and it's really that price tag that makes teams think, okay, we should consider him. Honestly, not the play itself.
Well, that's really the question here. I mean, Louis Riddick, what is, at this moment in time, Russell Wilson, a player who 3 years ago not one person wouldn't have said is on his way to the Hall of Fame. What is he right now?
Yeah. He's a stopgap starter is what he is right now. Look, he's a mid-level starter. Look, to call him not a starter, look, there's levels to everything, right? I mean, there's levels to being a starting quarterback in the NFL. Could he be a top half thrower in terms of QBR, completion percentage above expectation, passer rating? Yeah, he could be a top half, meaning 16 or higher. Yeah, I think he could be. Is he going to still be that guy who is going to be a consistent top 10 thrower in all advanced metrics? No, he's not going to be. And on top of it, look, there's other things that come along with being the starter, the franchise guy, the guy, as RG3 said, is being brought in to win Super Bowls. And a lot of that has nothing to do with what is going on the football field. It is how you are able to integrate yourself within the organization and elevate everyone else. And quite honestly, there are two organizations so far now, counting, that being Seattle and Denver, who don't feel as though he has that dynamic anymore, who don't feel as though he is that guy anymore. And whether you like it or not, regardless of what he has done in the past, that's just not how people are looking at him at this point.
Right.
So for Russ, you're right. He's in a good situation right now as far as having the money that's coming from Denver and for teams being able to then sign him on the cheap. And I think he's going to have to come to grips with that. You are going to be a bridge, or you are going to be a high-level backup, regardless of what you did during your heyday in Seattle. That's just the way it is. And quite honestly, I don't think that's being disrespectful to him. That's just being honest about the state of the game as it relates to him.
Yeah, I think Lewis is being more than respectful when he's talking about Russell Wilson's play. You go back 2 years ago under Nathaniel Hackett, and that season and campaign alone sort of ruined the way we looked at Russell Wilson and his legacy as it pertained to the Hall of Fame. And then you get to the next year, and now there are all these things coming out about Russell Wilson's personal life. Sean Payton immediately attacking him there. What happened to Russell Wilson, the guy in Seattle, would never say the wrong thing? What about that presentation? What about the guy we all applauded and the way that he went about his business? And so now what happens is when that dude doesn't seem to be playing at an elite level, let's dump on him. Let's say that he can't be a part of an organization. Let's say he can't be a part of a locker room. I also don't think that Russell Wilson is a guy that's going to be the franchise starter for the future for a team. But can he play? When you look at last year and the way that he adjusted his game to fit what Sean Payton wanted, he did those things. And so now we're going to look at Russell Wilson and say Russell Wilson can't be a starter, right? No, lies you tell. Let's stop trying to build a case against Russell Wilson and figure out where Russell Wilson can fit.
Well, it's not up to us, though. We can debate it. We can talk about it. He clearly can play. But again, other teams, other coaches who are thinking about, do you want Russell or do you want a Justin Fields or a Baker? That's where it comes into. So I don't disagree with RG3, but I'm not the one who's trying to add him to my team. Other people are trying to do that.
Well, look, again, you can talk about, you get Kirk Cousins for $40 million. You can get Baker Mayfield for some other number of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
You can get Justin Fields by trading away valuable assets. Or you can get Russell Wilson for absolutely nothing.
But you have to look at what you have, though. Like even talking to an offensive coach yesterday, it was, hey, you need more pieces around him so he can be a point guard facilitator as opposed to the guy running everything.
Quick final word, Lewis, go.
Yeah, I think the question that every team will have to ask is, look, are you willing to let Russell play the way Russell used to play when everyone used to use the phrase, let Russ cook? And a lot of teams don't want to allow him to play that way. Teams want him to play more in structure, more, I don't want to say regimented, but they want him to really paint by the line, so to speak, paint by the numbers, so to speak. And if you're not willing to let him go ahead and kind of create and do the kind of things off schedule that really made him what he was in Seattle, it's really just not worth it considering all the other things that he may bring to the table. Remember, Andrew Brandt coined this phrase, the greater the talent, the greater the tolerance. I just don't know if Russ's talent at this point is something that will enable people to tolerate all the other things that come along with him. It's just
But it's like we don't want to hang around Russ because some people think he's like a little corny. Like you know what I mean? Like, and he showed you that if dealing with this is what quarterbacks do. If I'm in a building that's going to let me do certain things, I'm going to do them. If you're going to let me have an office, I'm going to have an office. If you're going to let me bring my coach in, I'm going to bring the coach in. We heard nothing about Russell Wilson this year with Sean Payton saying that he was pushing back on the rules and regulations of the new head coach. And so we have to stop. To me, we got to stop doing that.
Yep. I'm with you. I think that's what RG3 was saying. I think you're 100% right. I think Russell is being viewed from an unfair perspective because people have a perspective on him that they want, and they are pushing that forward. It doesn't mean he's going to be a great player, but he's way better than the way he's being talked about now. Go ahead, Lewis.
The last thing I'm going to say is this, though. I don't know if it's – look, I don't think people are just creating things. I don't think people are making up things. Okay, everyone has what they like and what they don't like. I don't think people are making up anything against Russell Wilson because they just decided to pick on him. I think this is just the way it is at this point. And look, we can debate this until the cows come home, but the fact of the matter is he's just not going to be looked at as a franchise caliber quarterback that's going to lead a team to the promised land. It's just not that way anymore.
That part I
all agree with.
That part I agree with.
Although stranger things have happened than a resurrection of that sort. And
13 months ago, their owner, John Mara, said, we've done everything